How long a walk is a long walk? I asked myself the same question and ended up walking thousands of kilometers across India, following India's rivers, documenting the life of the river, life of the people of the river, documenting the environment. And in the thousands of kilometers of walking across this country, it was often the case that people would suddenly come up and start interrogating, would start questioning. It feels weird in the beginning, and then later you realize that these people would not have asked these same questions if I would have arrived in that location in a car or any other vehicle. And this is self-admitted by the people I'm talking about. I think this is an achievement. I think this is something to learn from, because this happening signifies that we have been able to break down some boundaries, that we have been able to break down some social dynamics that restrict people from sharing their ideas and stories. Walking, this simple act, it's a 1-2-1-2 beat, the most commonplace of human activities, conscious human activities. It has the power to dissolve boundaries of space and time. It has the power to dissolve social structures, social boundaries. And it is this simplicity that I want to share with you. Walking eventually is just symbolic of the act of slowing down. It could be any act. It is any simple act that you could undertake that helps slow down, helps observe and absorb the knowledge or information that lies around us, not necessarily exclusive, but more intimate. And my work has been primarily inclined towards the environment, so that's what I'm going to talk about. And these stories that I'm going to share with you are stories that were collected in a slow process, were collected in interacting with the people who live alongside these rivers. While walking along the Ganga in Uttarakhand, we saw these faces of daily wage laborers working on the road, and it was apparent that these folks were not from the local area, and we ended up speaking to them, got to know that they were from Jharkhand and working here to build a road which is part of the Char Dham highway project. Now, we got to know this information from them, and then we moved on, and we reached this village called Sukhi, which literally translates as happiness or satisfaction. We met this person called Mohan Rana. Now, I really love my sleep. I do not like anyone disturbing my sleep. And Mohanji tells me that, apple trees also like to sleep. Apple trees like to sleep 1200 to 1500 hours in a year. And that sleep is awarded to them by the winter. When it snows and the apple tree is laden with snow, that is when the apple tree actually sleeps. Now, if the apple tree does not get enough sleep and does not have that 1200 to 1500 hours of sleep, the apple does not mature. The apple tree does not mature. There is no taste to the apple. Now, why am I telling you this story? Is because the road that we're trying to build passes through some ESZs, that is ecologically sensitive zones, where it's strictly forbidden to have any construction activities of this scale, violating all of this, including cutting off 8,000 trees, numbered to be cut down for building this highway. Now, what will that highway do? This highway is supposed to take you to a pilgrimage. This pilgrimage was supposed to be done on foot. It was supposed to give you enough time to introspect while you take enough time to reach a pilgrimage. The pilgrimage is not about the destination, it's about the journey. But we want to wind through valleys fast in our cars, in buses, and reach these pilgrimages on these highways that will hurt the apple trees, that will hurt the local environment, and eventually eventually, and in some cases it is happening already, start to hurt us here in the cities. And that is not all. The receding glaciers in the Himalayas in India, result of global climate change effects, has already started reducing the amount of water that we receive. The water cycle has been affected, and that is directly affecting. The Ganga Basin supports 500 million people in this country, and that is the number at stake if we do not slow down, just slow down and see what's happening. I generally do not take selfies, but I had to take this one because I met Bablu while walking along the Ganga, and this guy just came up to me and he wanted to pay my bill, and eventually ended up walking with me and taking me to his village. His village is locally called Pital Nagri, and almost every house has a metal workshop. But what was strange was a statement that Bablu made to me. He said, हमारे गांव में कोई भी गाड़ी चलाने लायक हो जाता है तो वो ट्रैक्टर लेके नदी किनारे चला जाता है, which translates as if anybody in our village becomes capable of driving a car, they take a tractor and head to the river. And I was curious as to why. This is why. His house is next to the Son River, and this is an image of a boat laden with sand, so much sand that it is literally dragging the boat into the water. The boat is just 1 feet away from sinking. This weight, I think, is metaphorical to the burden that this statistic mentions, that where is this sand going? The sand is going for economic developmental processes, for construction activities, which will in turn increase the economic output of the country. But is it really? If we look at these figures, if we look at the numbers, where is this money going? Or where is this sand going? And this is not enough. This is not the only effect of this. The sand that is being taken out, both by individuals, organizations, contractors, legally and illegally, has resulted in a. So I took this picture from a bridge, and the bridge is now structurally weak because we've taken way too much sand out of the river. And now the river is hungry. So the river wants to eat away the structure as well. This bridge that I'm talking about is the only link between the national capital Delhi and Kolkata, and all Rajdhanis and Durontos travel over this bridge. And there was a time in 2002 and then again in 2005 when this issue was raised that this bridge could fall anytime. We've had similar incidents happen in some other states because of similar reasons, but then I don't know if the value of those people traveling on those trains, which are people who live in urban areas, a lot of them, is important enough, or is this important, or maybe we need to slow down and think about it, think about where we're going, think about what we're doing. Just some food for thought. And then after walking along the Ganga, in the process of documenting India's rivers, ended up walking along the Ken River that starts in Madhya Pradesh and flows into Uttar Pradesh and meets the Yamuna. Somewhere there, there's a bridge, if you can see. While walking along this river, we met a lot of people, farmers, fishermen. We met people who are herders and sand miners, again, both legal and illegal. The one thing that all of them told us was that there's been a lot of change in the local climate. To the extent that in the 2 times that I visited this river, both after the sowing season, in the next 2 weeks, that is when the seed needs to germinate, both times the seeds did not germinate. This is a direct conflict from how the farmers study the climate according to the signs that they see in the local environment, the signs that they see in the stars, and that is traditional knowledge that we're forgetting. But anyway, not digressing, this is again a view of the Ken River, people taking out sand for their own usage. You can see a bunch of saurus cranes flying over, and the biodiversity of this area is, I'm not sure fantastic, but definitely good. And when we were speaking with the locals, we asked them a question that we are talking about climate change and how the local climate is changing and that's affecting their daily livelihoods. But are they aware of a landscape change or a riverscape change that is about to happen in that area? And this is going to happen because of a proposed project called the Ken Betwa River Linking Program, which proposes a dam to be built inside the Panna National Park. Now, I'm talking about 50, 100 villages that are going to be affected by this program, of which people knew nothing or maybe a statement about what's going to happen, which is strange, I think, because if you are going to affect the lives of people, you might as well tell them that you're going to do that. Now, why is it important, or why is it that I am telling you the story? Is that unless I would have taken a journey along the river on foot, I don't think the fact of the matter would have come out. It was we as people walking on foot, storytellers somehow, who had taken this information for the first time to these villages that this is what is happening. And that is what got villagers to start thinking about what actions they should take to at least receive information about what's going to happen. Now, this is something that I clicked while driving inside the ghats of the Panna National Park. It says that we still have, like, stop, think. There are still some tigers left in the Panna National Park, and we should try our best to save it. The Panna National Park is a miracle in world conservation because in 2009 we had 0 tigers in the Panna National Park, from which we went to about 34 in 2014. And the current proposal of the dam is inside the national park in a place where it's known that 50% of the tigresses actually breed. Vultures, which are almost extinct today, have nesting sites within this national park, which are also getting affected. And beyond all of this, there are about 23 lakh trees that are going to get submerged inside this national park because of the dam. According to the project design, the government promises that it will irrigate lakhs of hectares of land in Bundelkhand and give drinking water supply to a lot of people, which is great. But the question to ask is, in an area which is already facing extreme climate change, in an age where we are facing extreme climate change events, whether it be India or America or Australia, our best defense is to conserve these forests. Our best defense is to grow more of these forests, is to take care of these forests. And if we are going to submerge 23 lakh trees, I don't think these two activities are in sync. But anyway, it is easy to sell this idea to all of us in economic terms because we're not looking, we're not observing, we're not thinking. If we have to take away anything from the recent events that have happened in Chennai, Delhi, Mumbai, and a lot of other Indian cities, I don't think the statement that it will come back to bite us at some point is any more true, because it is already here. The effects of climate change are already here. We are facing these effects every day in our lives today. But how do we take on this issue? How do we think about this issue? I think the first thing that we need to do is to slow down. In the organization that I run, we've tried to engage more young people to be able to engage with these issues, to understand these issues. People have gone on walks with us, hundreds of kilometers. And something changed for a lot of them, and which is why I implore that all of us, this generation, the generation above us, below us, we need to slow down. We need to slow down, give things enough time so that in this whole barrage of information that's coming in, like constant information, the age of information that we're living in, it's not important that we understand each and every bit of this information, but it is important that we make sense of some of it and we stop, think. Because today, if you look around you, the mainstream media peddles a lot of information, constant information. What we need to think about is what is behind this information. Is the information the end of it? Or is there something behind this veil of information? And thinkers and doers, since always, have used slow methods, sometimes like walking, to invoke solidarity amongst people, to challenge the status quo. And these acts are simple, these acts are not complex. These acts are something that any of us can undertake. So I invite you to maybe take a walk, but definitely slow down. Thank you.